Greetings and welcome to our wonderful YouTube tryout chat about our wonderful Ascensions healing arts. Tonight we're going to interview our wonderful Carolanne. She is an Akashic Records consultant, and I'm just going to find out a little bit of information about Carolanne. Okay, Carolanne, how did you decide to become an Akashic Records consultant?
Well, through some trials and tribulations, I had an Akashic reading, and it was so-so, and I wasn't that impressed by it, really. But I felt a need to explore more. I knew about the Akashic Records for a long time, and I just felt, I'm going to explore it more. And it was actually someone I came in contact through where I work, innocently mentioning Peaceful Arts down in Port Hope, and that the lady there did Akashic readings. Her name is Valerie Smith. So I, of course, got on the internet and searched out Peaceful Arts and made an appointment with another person. And, I went there, and you go with a list of questions, of course, but I've already been experienced with going to spiritual and doing spiritual readings and such, and I knew kind of what to expect in that regard. And after having that reading, I realized this is the forum for me, because I've been psychic or spiritual or whatever you want to call it all my life. When I was younger, I didn't know about it. I didn't know what that meant. And so when I was older and getting all these impressions and such, like being a medium and hearing, sensing, smelling, seeing, whatever else the clairs are, psychic, empathic, that kind of stuff. I didn't want to do readings like that. There's nothing wrong with doing readings or anybody else doing that. It just wasn't for me. I want it to be more on the spiritual side. Really spiritual, not, am I going to get married tomorrow, or am I going to get money and stuff? So, and I'm not putting that down, but I say that, but it's just for me as a person, as a spiritual person, that's the kind of thing I wanted to do. Didn't want to do that part. So the Akashic Records was that avenue where I could be of service to help awaken others on their path, awaken their souls to their purpose this lifetime and their soul purpose, and to help them move on and heal past life or present life traumas and such through the records. And that's basically in a nutshell. I hope that answered the question.
Yes, it did. Thank you very much. So you have done the Akashic Record readings for me and a few other people. And it was quite interesting for me to find out exactly where I started from, where I'm heading to, and all of the different things that I need to work through in this lifetime. So having a reading done by you was a great experience, and I really thoroughly enjoyed it. So how long have you been practicing the Akashic Records consultations?
I got my certification the end of May of 2016. So since then, but I know now that I've been in and out of the Akashic Records for a long time before that, but I didn't realize that's what it was. But now with the training and with all the home study courses I'm taking now, to become a teacher, to teach people to be able to access their own records or others. It's an exciting journey. I'm still learning, like even anybody in their whatever modality they are gifted in, you're always growing. You have to grow. You have to keep on improving and honing in and tuning in. And that's what I keep doing.
How has this enriched your life?
I think in a few ways. First of all, it put me out on that limb. I always refer to Shirley MacLaine's Out on a Limb, the book and the movie that she did, because it puts you out on a limb, because I always was holding back because I'm a person who likes to be able to provide a service to somebody. If I'm going to do a reading or a consultation or a healing, I want to make sure I'm doing the best and giving them the answers that they're seeking. So putting myself out there and trusting that I'm a vehicle or a vessel or a tool for my higher self, or for the Ascended Masters, for the Lord of the Akashic Records, for the people's or the client's spiritual team to come through to give the messages and the guidance that a client needs, a person needs. Sometimes clients will ask a question and they won't necessarily get the answer that they think they should be getting. It's because that's not what their soul wants them to know. So that's number 2. Number 3 is getting to meet wonderful people and to be able to assist them on their journey, to help with unlocking blocks, unlocking things that they have had buried in their energies or in their memories or in their souls, ready to release, just to be able to become friends with them. I find it awesome when I go in their records and I see all these wonderful places, or I'm very visual. My third eye is open all the time, and I'm very visual, so I see a lot of things. And sometimes I have to go back and ask, okay, what does this mean? Sometimes I have to search on the internet for just to give me what a symbol that comes out in the records, because sometimes I just don't get the answer, so I have to, and then it unlocks. But it's really cool seeing somebody else's soul, and that's an honor and a privilege. And working within the Akashic Records is a very sacred thing, and it's not something where I have to have the person's permission to go in it. It's just like it's privacy. It's like it's your life, it's your soul life, it's your who you are. So those are part of the benefits. Another benefit is I get healing, I get charged. It's not a high or anything, but I get to meet a lot of awesome spiritual people, both physically and spiritually. I get to communicate with the archangels and the Ascended Masters, and I'm just starting to work with Edgar Casey now, and it's very cool.
Excellent. So what are some of your words of wisdom for someone wanting a reading?
Now, I know each Akashic reader or consultant will see or approach the Akashic reading differently than maybe I would. And that it's not saying either way. It's just, as I said, when I first get into a client's records, I don't answer the questions right away. I wait for what the Akasha sends me, and I start writing it out, typing it out. And that usually leads into their questions. It's just a natural progression. To be open, to be to know that it's not just necessarily about past lives, it's how your past life is affecting you now in this present moment. An Akashic reading is more to help you in this present moment, to release stuff that's holding you back, that may be causing you pain, or causing you anxiety, or causing you some relationship issues. It'll help you understand contracts or your relationships with your partner, your friends, with your pet, which I still have to do a soul talk with my cat, Oscar. It's also it can be a spiritual reading. It all depends. Like, you can have one Akashic reading to talk about certain things, or just let the Akasha answer, let it flow. Or you can have specific questions. And then the next time you can have another reading where certain other things have come up and you say, oh, I want to know more about this. I want to know more about that. Right now I've got some guides around me. I feel warmth and cold at the same time. They know we're talking about this. So this is cool. I don't know if that answered the question.
Yes, it does. Now, a lot of people offer this in person, and there are some people that offer this online. For you, what is the best way to do your Akashic consultations?
I've had a few in person, some video, one-to-one video, but the majority is when the client will, what I request is a picture with their eyes open, their name, their full legal name. And if people wondering why I ask for a full legal name, it's not I ask, it's Akasha, it's your energy imprints, it's who you are. And why I ask for a picture is because then I connect through the eyes. I don't know if any Akashic record person does this, but actually in person, I know my teacher does that. So I do it because I've always see through to the soul. I can see right through to somebody, especially when I'm focusing in. And I find and then they give me their questions, and then I do the reading. I usually come down in my space here, and I sit over there with my iPad, and I've got my stones. I've got a whole bunch of stones. This is a Merlin stone. And I just got this one last week, thanks to you, Nora. It's a violet flame stone.
There's my violet flame.
I use a whole bunch of different stones to help focus in. And the Merlin stone is very good for Akashic reading. It helps with past lives and all that. I've got a whole table full of stones, and sometimes I hang on to them. When I call, what I basically do is I call in my spiritual team, and then I get grounded, and I do all that. I call in the Ascended Masters, the Archangels. Then I do an Akashic prayer, and then I do the Pathway prayer, and then with which I use the patron, the client's full name. And then I look at their picture, look through their eyes, and then I make the connection, and then I get to their Akashic records, and then I'm off to the races. And usually I keep typing what I see in their Akashic records at first. And then when that's done, then I look at their questions. Sometimes I'll say their questions before I go in their records just to get the mojo going. But usually their higher self and their team already knows.
You've got mail.
Did you get when you have your phone and your iMac going at the same time? So usually they all know this. It's all energy, right? So so then I just start doing that, and then I read their questions, and then I start typing. And sometimes if I want clarification, I'll use my pendulum, or I'll pull an oracle card or a tarot card, which I've got a lot of, right, Nora? And then I'll focus in again, and I'll call in a certain master and ask. And now I ask what's what ascended master or spirit guide or angel is working with them, and I write that down as well. So I find when the client is not in front of me, I'm able to give them far more detailed information than if they were in front of me, like physically. Because what happens is they will get caught up with a certain aspect of their question or their reading, and they'll keep going to that and going to that. Meanwhile, I've got all this stuff backing up, and I can't get it through. And if it's like a funnel, so I've got all this stuff coming down, and then they'll say something, and it'll go back up, and it's like, oh, I just lost it. And so they won't get as much of a, like, they'll get stuff, but they won't get as in depth as right now anyway. They won't get as in depth of a reading that they would get if I write it, type it all out and I send it PDF to them. And then I give them the option to communicate with me if they want a clarification. And usually I charge for an hour for a certain amount of money, and then but I usually go over. That's that me type of person who wants to give them the best quality reading that I can give them. So I'm gonna have to figure that one out.
On the whole, how long would you say it takes you to do one person?
For an hour reading, it would be 2.5. An hour and a half or a 90-minute reading, it could be 3 hours.
Yeah, so there's a lot of work that goes into it. It's not just sitting and saying, oh, this, and this. You are getting all this information, and the information, like I have had a few of the Akashic record readings, and each time is different, as you said. And yes, we are in person, but I know enough to think of one question, and then I let you read all the way through, because I know that you have this stuff funneling in, and I can quite often see where it is coming in, because like you get a brightness above your head, and then it comes down and into your body. So I can quite often see that. So I know that it's important to let you continue on to what you have to say. So that might be one thing to think of when you are interested in coming to see Carolanne, and have her do your Akashic record readings and consultation, that you come with the notion of, yes, you have some questions, but be very open to let her finish her train of thought, because it is very important to get that train of thought out before she loses the information.
Because I find too that there's times when I'm seeing a lot of stuff, and I'm trying to find the words. I'm trying to find a way to comprehend, to be able to bring it through to explain what I'm trying to say. You know, when we're in circle, I always say, okay, I wish I had the words for this, or I'm trying to figure out how to say this. Because I fully understand what they're trying to tell me, but to say it and to put it out there so that the person can understand, at times it's like, oh, please.
Well, it's very difficult, is it not? Because you see it like a movie, right? It comes.
I see it on every spectrum. Like, oh, wow. I can see it, I can smell it, I can hear it, I can feel it. I don't know. It's all coming at me, and it's like I'm a sponge, and I'm trying to filter it into. I'm trying to get it in so I can. It's hard to explain. So when I'm trying to do that, and if somebody comes in and says, it's like, I just lost it.
Yep.
Anyway, but that's just how it is.
Yep. Now, how would a person get a hold of you in order to be able to have an Akashic consultation?
Well, there's my website, which is spiritualgalsplace.weebly.com, or spiritualgalsplace at Cogeco, COGECO.ca. There is my Facebook, which is, I had to change my Facebook because Facebook screwed around with me. I won't get into that because we don't want to bring that energy into this video.
No.
I'm using the thumb, not the other things. Yeah, it's Akashic Records, Spiritual Gal's Place. I'm also on Instagram too, Spiritual Gal. So that's.
So you have a multitude of ways of getting a hold of you.
Yes.
Okay, that's good.
I also have a blog too on WordPress.
Oh, okay, cool.
It's
And
more about a spirit.
blog address.
It's more about twin flames.
Okay.
Twin souls.
Oh yes, I remember you started that
Mm-hmm.
about that one certain party, and you've kept it up, I take it?
Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, I think we have covered your topic. Do you have any other words of enlightenment for people?
Just to be open, not to criticize yourself too much. I'm saying this because I have been guilty in the past, and still, we're all here to learn, to release, and we're like, being spiritual doesn't mean we're perfect, and we all have our stuff, and we all hopefully can work towards spreading the light out there to reach the darkness.
I remember one of the times that you did one of the readings for me, and it was, what is my life purpose for this life? And I remember thinking, wow, it's learning patience. And one other lifetime that I had, I wasn't very patient with children. I was not a very good person at all with children. And at that time, I was a nun, and I didn't have a choice about becoming a nun. I had been left with the sisters when I was younger. And with children, I was not very nice, shall we put it. And so this lifetime, I have learned to be very patient with everybody as much as possible. And this is one of the lessons that I was to learn. And I feel that I am accomplishing this very much so. I didn't realize it until we went into my Akashic records, and this is what came out. So as part of your life plan and part of your life lessons, and to move forward in your ascension, it is important to have an Akashic record consultation to help you when you want to go forward and ascend higher in the ladder. It's really important that we work on our stuff, and with the Akashic consultation, it really, really helps. So don't hesitate to get a hold of Carolanne. She gave you her email and email address. She gave you her web address. So don't be afraid to get a hold of her and contact her, because Carolanne does do an amazing job, and she has helped quite a few of our friends in our life journey by giving us the Akashic record consultations. Well, Carolanne, thank you very much for taking the time to do this with us. And hopefully next time we can find something else to discuss, like a crystal.
You've got mail.
You've got mail. Maybe next time we can talk about Reiki. The Reiki that you're doing.
Yep, we can, definitely. And hopefully we will be able to do this again maybe next week. And we'll talk about the Reiki, because I love being able to help people with my Reiki.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. Have a great and blessed day.
Blessed be.
Blessed be.